And welcome to Grandad's Reviews. In my last video where I had a look at the Sony A77ii against the Fuji X-T1, I said that I'd have a closer look at the A77ii and also the A68 and the differences that I found between the two of them. So I've got the A77ii and also the A68. Now, the funny story is I just wanted the A68 after doing some research on Facebook groups and YouTube. Most of them are saying that the sensor and the processor and the autofocus system in the A68 was exactly the same as the A77ii, and the only real difference between the two of them was the A77ii has a magnesium alloy chassis, it's weather sealed, got a better LCD and better controls, and I'll discuss those in a minute. So I'd found an A77ii on eBay for a reasonable price, and I'd put a very small bid on it. But then I found an A68 Park Cameras in the UK here, which was near enough brand new. So it had a shutter count of 168 activations. So I thought, ooh, for that kind of money, I think with the delivery and everything, I paid about $250 for it. And I thought, well, I've put such a silly bid on the A77ii, I'm going to be outbid. But no one else bid. It's just me. So I got the A77ii as well. I paid just over £300 for that. I think the reason it was going cheap was one of the descriptions on it was that the rear LCD was scratched. In fact, it wasn't. It was just the DLAM of the screen protector that Sony put on, and I did the just peeled it off. I'm just waiting for a new screen protector to turn up, and I'll put that back on. So I've ended up with both. So I thought we'd have a look in this short video at what differences I found on the actual two cameras. Now, the main difference that does make quite a big difference is the quality of this rear screen. The rear screen on A77ii is far superior to the rear screen on the A68, not just because it twists and goes in every direction you could possibly think, but it's got more dots per inch, it's a lot brighter, a lot clearer. You can actually check focus on it, whereas on this one you can't really do that. Viewfinder wise, yeah, it is a bit better, but not a great deal better. It's not such a big difference. Control wise, the big advantage at the A77ii is it's got two control wheels, one at the front, one at the back for your thumb, which is very handy, whereas the A68 got a front control wheel, but then you have to use the wheel on here on the D-pad basically, which obviously does two different things. You've got the D-pad section and you've got the wheel, so it's not quite as easy as a back wheel. You can see on the top basically they're the same. Got the ISO, you got exposure compensation, white balance, timer and drive, shutter button, finder monitor, and then the mode dial on the left. And you've got PASM on both, 1, 2 and 3 custom settings. Got the movie setting, panorama, scene setting, and then the only difference really is the T setting, which is a high-speed shutter, so you can get 8 frames per second on this one, but it does crop into the center of the sensor, and you can get 12 frames per second on the 12 setting on the mode dial on this, but in that case it locks your aperture, so you have to play with the ISO to get a shutter speed that you require. So on the top, that's about the difference. On the back, on the A77, the difference really, when we look at them, I've got some close-up of this, we've got, still got the C button, still got the play button, still got a function button on both of them. Obviously the D-pad, but this one has got joystick instead of the actual D-pad as such. Got the AEL lock. On the A68, you've got custom button 1 at the top here, whereas it's the AF/MF button on the A77. Got a movie button, got a menu button, and the difference on the A77 is you've got a zoom button, so you can zoom in for critical focusing, though you can put C1, there's that on here. On the front, on the A77, we've got a button down the bottom here, which is for depth of field preview, and you got that on both of them. You can reprogram that. Lens release, and you've got infrared receiver on that one, the A77, but not on that one. So really, control layout wise, they're pretty much identical. What I have found, and I don't know if it's this my particular one, that the joystick on this one sometimes sticks. You can feel the click. Don't know if you can hear that. Sometimes it doesn't. You got to go down and there, nothing happening. I just let off and do it again. So I find the D-pad on here, which is a definite click, I find that sometimes to be a bit easier than the joystick on there. And as I say, with the screen, on this screen, you can go down and you can go up by that much, and that's basically it. Whereas on A77, you can obviously go straight down, swivel it round to the front, go up, swivel it to the side. You can do basically everything, plus you can hide it, so you've got it quite safe. So in those senses, the controls are pretty much the same. They've both got the same kind of grip, which is very good. I like that grip. Not to put anyone off, I actually prefer it over the Fuji grip. It's actually a good solid grip. But when we come to the actual performance of it, now as I say, when I did the research, it said the sensors are the same in both of these. But if you actually go on to Sony's website, and for the A68 or A77ii, one of the things it says here is the 24.3 megapixel APS-C sensor has been upgraded with gapless on-chip lenses. The sensor achieves low noise, full HD video and 4K stills. Now if you go to the A68 and look at that same overview, all it says is it's got an XMOS CMOS sensor. It says nothing about it being gapless or anything like that. Even if you go down to the full thing about the sensor, it says it's got a 24.2 megapixel. And what we said here is it's got 24.3 on the A77 Mark II. So is there a difference? I don't know. But what I have noticed when using both of these with the same lens, the AF is certainly better on the A77 II. It seems quicker than the A68, and it's just not a tiny weeny bit better. You do notice a difference. It is a noticeable difference. Also, the noise level seems slightly different. The noise in the A77 II doesn't seem to come in quite as early as the A68. So in my testing, I think the sensor in the A68 is different. Everything else is the same. From my testing, the sensor does seem different. So this is just my quick overview of the features on these two cameras and the layout and usability of them. I'll just also make a note here on the A68. You've got USB, HDMI and microphone import and power on that, but on the A77ii we've got USB, HDMI, microphone, PC sync and a remote port, and DC in via their adapter. So you do get slightly different ports, both got single SD cards. So in the next video we'll look at image quality differences, if any, and the speed of the AF and see if we can actually see a difference. But for the time being, that's just my quick overview of the A68 versus the A77ii. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. If you want to be notified, hit the bell button. Till next time, see you later.